And now, with opening day Thursday, it's time for another Sports Extra over-under baseball preview. And for that, we need to go over here to the infield with Luis Ortiz, Zach Tawatari, and former Major League scout Jeremy Booth, our KHOU 11 baseball analyst. Guys, we have the whiteboards ready, so we know we're in for a good night. All right. Before we get to these, though, Jeremy, momentum, it seems to be building at this point for the Cam Smith show to begin the season in the big leagues. If you are the head of baseball operations for the Astros, are you starting Cam Smith in right field on opening day at Daikin Park?
Oh, man, it's I'm gonna
I guess it isn't a yes or no answer.
Well, it is because the yes, it's a yes or no at the end of it. When you start going down the conversation, the question becomes, is he ready? Mm-hmm. And even if he's ready, you still may not do it. You might want to send him back a little bit to let him season and let him play. With that said, he wasn't brought here to stay in the minors, and he certainly wasn't brought here to play third base. And I know we talked about that separately, collectively as a group, off camera. We talked about that Cam Smith was here to play the outfield. That's what he was here to do. And I think that with the state of the club, I think that with where Dana is at, I can see him doing it. So I'm going to say I'm going to side with Dana, and I'm going to support Dana's decision, which I think is yes. If you asked me personally what I would do, which was the question, I'm probably taking a step back and he's going to the minors.
I would say a month in Double-A, a month in Triple-A, and then move him to the big leagues. Because listen, here's a guy, not only is he a rookie, but this is also a guy who would be learning a new position on the fly in the big leagues.
That's right. No, I like to kind of be more on the optimistic side of things, right? And now I like to say, okay, look, he's looked good in spring training, right? I think everybody's been impressed, but you do have to take into account that, okay, maybe he's facing, minor league pitchers, and it's going to be completely different when he faces the major league guys. But I agree. I think you have to be more conservative, err on the conservative side, and build him up.
I'd rather him be too ready than not ready at all. And I think that for top prospects, marinating is very important. See things, see a little bit more from each level, and then see if it's time to bring him up in a couple months, like you said.
Well, the thing about this city, right, is that they're used to winning. This is a winning baseball town now, right? Playoffs aren't even really acceptable. Certainly not making the playoffs aren't acceptable. He's going to walk into Daikin Park. He's going to look up. He's going to see the third row, that extra deck. That matters when you're looking at a big league park. And he's going to be on such an exceptional playing surface that it's different than where he's been in the minor leagues, right? So he has to look around, and he's got to feel the environment. I don't think the moment's too big for him. This kid's got a slow heartbeat. I don't think the moment's too big for him. I have a what we call in scouting a baseball man crush on this guy. When he came over here, I was like, this is a dude, man. He's going to be great. He's a star waiting to happen. Aircraft carrier. But I don't think it's time. I think it's another month or two. I agree with all your guys' assessments. Do I think he can handle it? Sure. But I'd rather him be in Double-A or Sugarland down the road and work his way through and let McCormick play out there for a little bit, or other guys who've got some time, than rushing him and having him go two steps back.
And now it's time for this. It's time for our over-unders, courtesy of betonline.ag. We have our over-under board. So basically, you're just going to point over or under, and we are going to start with the new guy, Christian Walker, total home runs in the 2025 regular season. The over-under is 31.5. Are you going over or under, Jeremy?
I'm going over. I'm going over. I think he's going to have an exceptional year in this park. I think he's going to be in a good fastball counts. In my lineup that I got swimming around in my head, he's going to be in a position between Alvarez and Paredes, and he's going to get a lot of pitches to hit. And
you mean Diaz?
Diaz, correct, yes. Okay. I'm sorry. And he's going to have a lot of pitches to hit, and he's going to get those four-seam lift pitches that play so well in Daikin. So for me, it's over.
I do not think it's over, but I think it's close. I think it's slightly under 31.5. I think this year, because he is not going to be the focal point of the lineup, like you said, I think he's going to get more pitches to hit. I think that's going to result in a very successful season, but I don't see 32 home runs for him.
Well, he was at 31.5 on betonline.ag here, this over-under. Last year he hit 26. 33 in 2023. I'm going to say the under as well. I think it's safe to say 30 home runs, 31 and a half. That's a little too much for me.
I agree. I think I go under as well. I mean, you just mentioned his numbers from last year and the year before. And then if we think about Kyle Tucker, how many home runs he had last year, are we really thinking that Christian Walker's going to hit over 31.5, 32, 33? I don't know. I'm going to go with the under.
And now, let's move on to this one. Yordan Alvarez, another masher. Runs batted in, over under of 90.5. Now, I'm going to start with Jeremy on this one again. Because, Jeremy, last year, Yordan Alvarez had 86 runs driven in. That was a fairly low number, and we would attribute it to where he was hitting in the lineup. But that's another show. The year before, 97. 90.5. Over or under?
Are we hitting him in the second spot again? I mean, what are we doing? You can't answer that question directly because if he's hitting where he belongs, it's over 100.
Yeah.
If he's hitting where somebody decides to move him around like it's a video game, then I can't tell you that. If he gets consistent at bats in the three spot, even in the 4 spot, it's over 100 RBIs. And I don't see any reason why they would tamper with that this year after learning from it last year. So my answer is going to be yes.
So over.
Oh, I apologize. Over.
I was like, I don't think there's a yes on here.
No.
Anyways, over. Zach?
Mine is also over, and this should be fairly easy. 90 and a half RBIs, 91 RBIs on the season for a player of his caliber should really be nothing. We should be talking about, is it over or under 100 RBIs? Lineup construction, obviously going to play a big part in that, but I think, like you said, if he hits in the 3 or 4 hole, he's going to get to 91 very easily.
And this is interesting. I did look up baseballreference.com, his 162 game average.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he typically doesn't play 162 games, but because of injuries, his average for 162 games is 120 runs driven in.
There you go.
I'm in the over. I'm in the over, but that's only if they're hitting him in the right position.
I agree with all of you guys, especially, and if he's healthy, and it looks like he's going to be more at DH this year, right? So he'll be able to avoid those injuries and whatnot. I think it's over. I think, definitely batting 4th or that 3rd spot for sure. Then he can do it easily.
And now another new player, Eso Pedes, home runs 25 and a half. Luis, where are you? Over, under 25 and a half.
I'm going to go under. Yeah, I know everybody's pulling for it. Oh, he's going to be able to put it left in the Crawford box and everything, but I don't know. Look, it's Eso Pedes. He doesn't pack big punch power or whatnot, so I'm just going to stick with the under.
He did have 31 home runs in 2023. He had 19 last year.
That drop off.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with where he was hitting. Wrigley Field wasn't exactly his cup of tea. I'm going to say under as well. I don't know if he gets to 25.5, but if the Astros get 23 or 24, they will be happy with that.
They should be very happy with that if they can get to that. But I also think it's going to be under. I don't see him hitting 25 home runs. He's coming off a season, like Jason mentioned, where he hit 19, the whole pull the ball, I'm a pull hitter kind of thing. It just doesn't work for me. I mean, you show me a pull hitter, I'll show you a streaky hitter. I just see him hitting in spurts. I don't see him getting to 25, 26 home runs.
So, in scouting, we have grades, 30, 40, 50, 60. We also have
80.
these
Yep.
half grades,
Yep.
these 55s and these 65s. And these 90.5s and 25.5s and 31.5s, kind of remind me of that. You got to make a call.
And you can't say yes.
He's still hitting ahead of Alvarez in my head. Right?
I agree.
He's still hitting ahead of Alvarez. And I think I said this with the Bregman, Altuve historical lineups we're used to.
Jeremy Peña batting second.
Him too. I said, I don't care who's hitting. I don't want to pitch to Alvarez. I just don't. I don't care. Anybody else is going to beat me but him, right? I've got Altuve in the 1 spot who's learning a new position, who is not going to be, in theory, mentally there all the time. He has to learn what he's doing. Now, again, if anybody can do it, he can, but that still plays a factor. And I've got Paredes hitting in the 2 spot, who's going to get a lot of pitches to hit between the 2. I'm going to say 26 home runs.
Nice.
And I'm going to go over. but just for that reason. This is a different guy between Walker and him. This is a different guy, and then Diaz behind on the other side, depending how they construct it. He's going to get a lot of pitches to hit, a lot of four-seamers, and I'm pitching to – I know what Diaz can do in this park. I know what Alvarez can do in this park. I don't know what he can do in this park. And I'm more worried about Christian Walker than Paredes, which means I'm going to give him a lot of fastballs.
Jeremy convinced me. I'm going the over. I'm changing my vote. I'm going over. And now let's move to the pitching staff. Hunter Brown, number of wins, BetOnline AG has 11. Over, under 11. Where are you going?
That's a tough one. I
don't think it is.
You don't think so? Look, I love Hunter Brown. I love the stuff he's got and everything. I'm gonna go under.
Okay.
Just under. I think maybe he gets 10. He's definitely growing every season. He's showing improvement. But when I think over, am I seeing him get 13, at least 12? I don't know. Those are going to be tough.
What do you think, Zach? I'm sure you have the numbers in your head already.
I don't think he's going to get to 11 wins. I don't say that because he's not good enough.
But here's the thing, guys. He's been at 11 wins each of the past 2 seasons. He's won 11 games. And think of the struggles he's had, and he's still at 11 games.
I understand that, but I think this is going to be a different year for the Astros, which is why I have to go with under, because I just don't know if this team is going to hit. And that really, to me, is going to be the biggest indicator for whether or not he gets 11 wins. He may have a pitch great and have a ton of no decisions. I just don't know if he's going to get to 11.
Jeremy?
I'm going to go over, and I'm going to say because of his own development, he's going to run through 10 on his own development. Okay, in this division, the way it's balanced, I'm not overly worried about Anaheim, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I'm not overly worried about Seattle. I'm not worried about the Athletics. He's going to run into enough. He's got some games against. Who knows how this is going to play out as far as who's going to pitch against? But the league parity here hasn't been as talented as the playoffs make it seem, right? They've expanded the playoffs to almost everybody gets in. It's NBA format, pretty much, right? As far as how they do it. Half the league gets in the playoffs now, right? So just about. So it's not something where I got to worry about the quality during the regular season to get in and win games. He's going to run through enough. He's going to get to 10 just because he's good enough to do it. That sinker that he's developed was a game changer for him. And I was on the reliever train all the way through until he could do that. And now I think he's got a chance to be a 2. I don't think he's a 1. Could be, because 2s and 1s can be interchangeable. I think he's a 2. I got him at 15 wins in my head. Ooh. I go for ceiling. It's 15-win guy for me.
I'm at over as well. It better be 13 or 14 wins, because if it's not, it will be a long season for the Houston Astros. So for me, it has to be 13 or 14, so I'm choosing the over. As for the ace of the staff, Framber Valdez, and this was interesting to me, 13.5 wins, over, under. Consider, guys, 15 last year, 12 in 2023, 17 in 2022. I'm definitely at the over. I think he wins 15 or more. How about you, Zach?
I'm also at the over, and I really think this could be a year where Framber Valdez is a Cy Young finalist. I think this is the year where everything comes together for him.
It better. It better be.
I think it's maybe 16, 17 wins for him this year. That's what I'm thinking. He's coming up on a big decision next year, and I think he's going to be very motivated to pitch well.
I'm glad you said that. The walk year is a big deal, and it's a chance to get a lot of money. Probably his last big contract, right? It's over for me. It's over, and it's not close. That's for me. That's light.
I was really surprised by that.
If he's healthy, he's closer to 20 for me this year because he's motivated.
I agree with the over. However, what is interesting to me is exactly what you guys are mentioning. It's a big year for him as far as, free agency coming up. And we know that Framber, that mental battle. We talk about, Dr. Nunez, who he sees throughout the season and whatnot. Is it going to be too much pressure for him? Is that going to be something that now starts to creep in his mind? If he's been having these mental battles without this type of pressure on top, where it's like, okay, it's a year where I got to, try to go out there and do more. I don't want to say he's going to try to overdo. I go with the over, but I don't know if I go up to like 20,
No.
19.
I don't know if anyone really these days. You don't see a lot of 20 or 19 game winners anyhow. Now let's move back to the infield. Jeremy Peña, number of home runs in 2025, over or under 14 and a half. Over under 14 and a half. Jeremy Booth is starting us off.
You know, I think where he's going to end up hitting, I'm going to say it's under. I think he's going to hit, some doubles, line drives. You know, you're going to run out of fastballs at some point. He's a guy that's going to get them, but the book's in on Jeremy Peña. Year one, we said, doesn't matter what he does. I say that all the time. Doesn't matter if he hits what he did. Doesn't matter if he doesn't. It's year one. What you don't want to see is extreme failure. You just want to see to be able to deal with himself, especially in a championship club. He had a year better than anybody could have drawn up. He just did. All right? And then he has to come back to earth a little bit because the league figures him out. And then you got to adjust again. And I believe this is now year four. So the league knows who he is, and he knows who the league is. Now, he's got a cool basketball jersey going on, and he's got he doesn't have Alex next to him anymore, so he's got the energy of the city behind him a little bit, as far as really seeing what he can do.
And he's going to be one of the leaders of this team now.
Agreed. But if I have to pick based on how I believe they will hit him in the lineup, I don't think he passes that number, so I'm going to go under.
I also think it's going to be under. I say that because of the transformation that took place with his swing last year, which did not seem like it was for the better. It certainly wasn't more free. Okay, and you need to be free to hit home runs. You have to be. It's just the way it is. And so I think he's going to have another year where he's still figuring things out, and because of that, I don't think he gets to 14.
Guys. Last year, with a similar lineup behind him, he was at 15 home runs. I'm not saying he's hitting 18 or 19 or 20. His 162 game average is 17. So I'm going to take the over, even if it's 15 or 16, it's still over 14 and a half.
Yeah, I think you just pushed me over because I was kind of like on par. I was undecided, and I like what you're saying. I like what you're selling, Jason. I think it's a season for him to also prove, that he can make the adjustments. I mean, Jeremy, you touched on it. Nobody could have ridden that first year, right? It was incredible, but he's made changes. He's had a hot spring training. Let's see if he can carry it over, especially more than anything, that confidence. If he can carry that over, I think, he can at least get to that 14 and a half, maybe 15, 16 at the most.
And finally, number of wins for the Astros. And are they winning the American League West? So number of wins for the Astros is 86 and a half. 86 and a half. And for some perspective here, last year, of course, 88 wins. The year before, 90 wins. And in 2022, 106 wins. So we are seeing a team which is trending downward. Jeremy Booth, over, under, you have the first word on the number of wins, 86 and a half.
From a club standpoint, they're going the way they're supposed to, and they're rebuilding. They're personnel is leaving, people are retiring. They're getting some younger kids in there, putting some people in a little bit of misfit, trying to figure out what's going on. But it doesn't change the excitement in the city and what for this club and the energy that's in Dyken Park. I got two young guys in my neighborhood, Connor and Cameron Jones, who are always like hidden in a cage in their backyard. I could hear them, and I was out there today, and I was doing some training, and the excitement for baseball, right, for the Astros to be back is here. And I can tell you this. While I'm going to get ahead, they don't win the West. I'll tell you that. They don't win the West. I believe in the team in Arlington is going to win the West for now. I think 86 wins. I'm going just underneath because I don't think that the kids in the outfield solved yet. I think it's got a little ways to go. I think Dana and staff will get there. They've certainly earned the benefit of the doubt at this point. But I don't think they're ready yet. Playoff team, yeah, 86. Under.
It's over for me. 87. But I've been saying that for a couple weeks, Jason. We've been talking about this for a while. I think it's 87. 88 won them the division last year. I also, like Jeremy, don't think they win the division, but I think they get to 87 wins.
I've been going back and forth on this one, but I'm going to say over. I'm going to say 87 wins. Is it enough to win the division? I don't know. I don't know if this starting pitching is going to hold up. Yes, you've got three guys and probably a fourth, but for Ronel Blanco, he is basically now a second-year starter. And as Jeremy mentioned, First year is the first year. The league figures you out. We'll see. I don't know if they have enough starting pitching, so I'm going to say over, but barely. And you know what? I'm going to say they win the West.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say they don't win the West. I agree that I think maybe Texas is the team to beat in this division. And I'm going to go just under. I think like you said at the beginning, right? The team is just trending downward. We know that the batting is not as good as it was last year and the seasons before. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of torn in between whether is the pitching better than the batting or the hitting, or is the hitting better than the pitching? Like you mentioned, you maybe got four solid starters. I have trust in at least three of the guys. Mm-hmm. I would say even Ronell, I think I'm going to have the confidence that when he showed last year, okay, he can do it again, make some adjustments because, like you mentioned, people got him figured out. But I say they go maybe 85 wins, just a little bit under.
Those halves are a problem, man. You know, I mean, you gotta figure out where we're going. Who put the half projections together?
Well, that's the whole point.
That's the point.
Okay, well, why don't you just go like 1 1/3 or 0.25? Like, why are we
That's even worse.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if we're gonna be arbitrary about it, just throw another decimal point in there or something. I don't know. I don't get the half.
Mets, Astros, Thursday. Opening day, KHOU 11 will have complete coverage. But there you have it. Another edition of Over Under, our Sports Extra Baseball Preview Edition. Jeremy, thank you for joining us tonight on Sports Extra.
As always.